headstand.
This video is brought to you by catbeast.com. Design your own custom snapbacks and hats.
What's up, you guys? It's Vincanity, and today we're going to be learning about how to do a shoulder pike, right? Now, so far in this channel, we've learned how to do a normal shoulder freeze, we've learned how to do a two-handed shoulder freeze, and we've also learned how to do a one-handed shoulder freeze. Now, the shoulder pike is actually probably the hardest shoulder freeze that there is, and that is because you have to get into the pike position. Okay, so before attempting this move, we have to start out with a couple of stretches to make sure that we're flexible enough to do this actual move. Okay, so 1 second. Okay, the reason why I brought this over here is just so I don't have to move the camera. But basically, we want to stretch out our shoulder to make sure that we're flexible enough to get into the pike position. Obviously, if you just attempt to do a pike without being flexible enough, bad things can happen. So let's start off with a basic stretch, putting our arm out like this and turning, okay? And right now, we basically want to simulate the pike position. Our arm is back and our hips are straight, right? As if our hips are going to the ceiling, our hand is going to the floor. Some people are able to do a really deep pike like this, but for the most part, you're gonna be piking probably a little bit higher. So let's actually try that stretch a little bit higher. It's gonna stretch your shoulder a little bit differently. So just like this, same thing. Try to make sure that your legs are still maintaining facing the ceiling. Hold this stretch for about 10 to 20 seconds, especially if you're about to attempt it, and then just relax. The last stretch that I like to do for this, just because it feels good on my shoulder, is actually with my thumb down. And typically you're not gonna be in this position for the pike, but it just kind of feels nice. So same thing, turn this way, and if you can, try to dip down just a little bit, and it just kind of stretches your shoulder out nice, so we don't end up injuring ourselves, okay? So now that we stretch out our shoulder and also our chest, we also want to stretch out our hamstrings. The more flexible your hamstrings are, the better your pike is gonna look. So we wanna do a couple of stretches. The first one is gonna be like this, okay? Because obviously you could pike with one leg. So we're gonna reach down. And if you guys haven't watched my technique video on how to breathe, I want you guys to type in VincaniTV stretching technique and look that video, because that's gonna really help you guys like maximize the effectiveness of these stretches, okay? Stretch out, hold this for about 10 to 20 seconds. Make sure you're breathing, make sure you're relaxing, and then go ahead and switch legs. And again, let's breathe in, breathe out, reach down, and let's hold this for about 10 seconds, okay? Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And the last most dreaded stretch is with our legs together, and this is probably the most important one. If you're gonna be doing the pike with two legs, this actually has to be flexible. Let's try it again. Ready? Deep breath in, breathe out, reaching down. Again, don't go too far, just go to where you feel comfortable, and try to push your stomach towards the floor. Ready? And counting, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Keep in mind, especially if you're just warming up, make sure you guys do these a lot longer, okay? The last stretch I want us to do, especially because we want our freezes to look nice, is with our leg up here instead of like this. So let's put it up here, and same thing, breathe in, breathe out, reaching down, and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Switch legs, same thing. Breathe in, breathing out, counting, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And the very last stretch I want us to do is not like this full like straddle stretch. we actually want to have it somewhere around here, because oftentimes you'll see people do a pike with their legs about this far, right? So you don't have to do the splits, just somewhere in this range, like maybe shoulder width apart. And deep breath in, breathe out, and reaching down. And what you're gonna notice is you probably go a lot lower than you could with your legs together. This is because it's kind of in between the legs together and open, allowing you to go a little bit lower. If you didn't notice a difference, don't worry about it. You're just weird. Now, before we attempt this freeze, let's just do a quick simulation of what this freeze is gonna look like. A lot of people do this freeze and it looks really, really ugly, or it kind of just looks like a handstand or a slightly bent straight freeze. We want to have a deep, deep pike. So let's actually simulate what we want our pike to look like. Our hand is going to be in the back, wide open, just like this. Our elbow is going to be on the ground. Our hips are going to be up, facing the ceiling. Our shoulder is going to be pushing out strong. Our legs are going to be up, whether they're together, open, or doing some type of variation, okay? And we're gonna be holding that strong. So let's just try to hold this position. I know it's not the right one yet, but let's try to hold this position and just get this feeling right, okay? One thing that people tend to overlook is the shoulder, right? If you just get into this position but the shoulder isn't strong, you will collapse. It's one of the most important pieces to this freeze, and that's why a lot of people get shoulder injuries, is their shoulders tend to lose the strength, or you give out and then you hurt yourself. So we really want that shoulder to be strong. Okay, let's move this to the next level and actually lift up our hips. Same thing. Again, I know our leg isn't up, but we want to push our hips up, keeping that shoulder strong, pushing it out, and if you guys can, just try to lift up one leg. Okay, and just hold. That shoulder is just like how when we do the one hand freeze or one hand pike, when we push up, we actually push it strong. We don't just do a freeze, right? Because then the shoulder is weak. We actually have to push it up so that we're literally solid from going here all the way through our body, right? Especially here, we don't want to have any weak points. So we really have to push that arm up and out and hold it strong. Okay, let's try that again. Elbow goes down, hips are up, and we push that strong, lifting up our hips, holding that shoulder nice and strong, keeping that floor solid, okay? Once you guys hold that strong, again, try to lift up a leg, balance, really try to just build the strength on this arm and shoulder and build that stability. Getting comfortable with this position might take a while. Some of you probably won't be able to do that on your first try. It will take some time. So before you actually attempt doing a pike, get comfortable with this position. Now we're gonna move on to the fun stuff. And before we move on, let's tuck in our shirts so that our shirt doesn't fly over our face. At this point, you should, in general, have the basic shoulder freeze down, meaning you could go here, you could lift up, right? And you can hold it for at least a second, okay? Let's actually just practice that, lifting up and just holding it, okay? So we're here, we lift up and just hold it, okay? Getting comfortable here is really important, because if you're not, then doing the pike is kind of out of the question, okay? From here, we're actually gonna just push up and go into this one-handed shoulder freeze, okay? Not the pike yet, just one hand. And the way that we're gonna do that is we're gonna start to push our weight completely onto here, lifting this arm up, and we're just gonna try to balance. So ready? We're gonna go up and push, right? Again, don't worry about your legs yet. Worry about pushing that shoulder strong. One more time, here, push. Right, just kind of like if we're in a handstand and you want to start getting comfortable on one hand. Once we're comfortable pushing, now let's fully commit and let's try to bend one leg. And let's actually, the easiest leg to bend would be this top one, because once you bend this other leg, then you are now in the pike, right? But we're not ready for the pike yet. Let's just bend this one leg, okay? So we go here, we're gonna lift up, push, bring this leg up, okay? Our first form, ready? Here, push. Okay, you don't have to grab your foot. It just came natural. Ready? One more time, and push. Again, go up, push. And one more time, up, push. So at this point, if you guys can see, my form is pretty much just here. Once I move into the pike, this leg is gonna scoot up and I'm gonna be like this. The next thing we gotta talk about is your chest, right? If your chest is caved in, no matter how far back you extend your arm, it's only gonna be here, right? When you start to lift your chest up, extend it out, your arm can actually reach a lot farther back, right? So although it looks like you got a really flexible shoulder, it's actually from your chest into your shoulder, right? In this same position, caving my chest back in, my shoulder could only go this far back. This is typically what every person can do, right? This far back. But when you extend your chest, suddenly it looks like you are a lot more flexible than you actually are. This takes your shoulder from looking like a normal shoulder to a crazy shoulder. So before we commit to that, I want us to try one more exercise. So get yourself a chair or some type of sturdy surface or a wall that you don't mind getting foot marks on, something. And what we're gonna do is just kind of simulate that pike position again. And the way we're gonna simulate it is, again, same way we did earlier, but now raised a level, okay? And this might take you a second to get comfortable with, but you're gonna put your feet up, and same thing, just like before, lift up your hips. Hold this position. This is a little bit more true to it because you're never really gonna be this low unless you're super strong. You're typically gonna be a little bit higher, just like this. So just be able to simulate that pike position. And again, as you get comfortable, you lift a leg and try not to fall. If you got something like this, you could actually get really close, like to where you're sitting on it, and like lift up your legs and pretend like you're actually doing it. Or if you're on a chair, right? Simulate the pike position. Again, it might be cheating a little bit, but you still are exercising your shoulder and your arm, right? Not so much your legs, but your shoulder is really engaged at this point. So once you guys get comfortable with that, what we're gonna work on is lifting up into a pike position, but from here, right? Not how we did earlier. We're gonna lift up just like this. And what I want you guys to do is basically jump off one leg and kick the other leg up. Just like that, right? At first, don't worry too much about form. You just wanna practice that lifting motion, kicking one leg up, here. Okay? Again, we really just wanna strengthen that shoulder in that position. It's kind of a dangerous position to be in, especially if your shoulder isn't strong. So working on these exercises is really gonna help. So try it again. Ready? Here, just lifting up. And as you get comfortable, you can start straightening your legs. And you guys might not be at this point yet, but if you get really comfortable, you basically just kick your legs to your face. Right, and that's your pike. But we may or may not be there yet. So again, take your time, go to where you feel comfortable, and then push the limits. Don't push the limits too much if you're not comfortable. It's kind of like you're trying to go from here to here. You gotta get comfortable here before you move to here, and so on. Don't go to here if you're not comfortable here yet, or here. Okay? So the last thing is actually pushing up from either a headstand or a elbow freeze into the pike. And I'm gonna demonstrate both because one might be easier for you than the other. For me personally, the headstand is actually easier because I'm comfortable with headstands, right? Elbow freeze, I probably can't hold as long as my headstand. So the headstand for me is a little bit more comfortable. Let's try from the elbow freeze first. We're gonna go from here, push, and I'm gonna get my legs into position, just like this. Open, okay? Let's try it. Tuck my shirt in, elbow, lift, pike. Let's try it, ready? Elbow, lift, pike, and pike. One more time, and pike. And from a headstand, elbow goes down, pike, okay? Headstand, All right, you guys, so again, keep in mind that this move does not just happen overnight. It takes time. You have to strengthen your arm before you could put that type of pressure on it. So take your time, don't try to go too crazy, because again, it's all about conditioning, strengthening, and learning the coordination, right? Even for me, like, I've been dancing almost 20 years now, and I just now, like this past year, am starting to get comfortable on my left arm doing pikes. I could do freezes no problem, but when it came to pikes, I couldn't do it, right? Let me just show you guys. This is my right pike. And before, honestly, I could only do this, right? Over the past like 6 months, I've been practicing pikes on my left, and now I can finally do it. Once again, if you guys want to see more tutorials like this, more freezes, more strengthening, more conditioning, make sure you guys press like and leave me a comment about what you guys want to see next. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace. Thank you guys again for watching, and just want to give a quick shout out to catbeast.com. Make sure you guys check out their website to get your own custom hat today.